You know what? I had a lot of fun with that Pokemon video. Let's tackle a Final Fantasy game next. Same basic but literal rules as before. Which jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics could solo the game starting from the first battle at Orban Monastery to the end of Ultima? A couple little nuances though, this isn't Ramza only, all controllable units will have to be the same job. Also, guest characters are outside of your control. Far as I'm concerned, anywhere they're present is a gift from Squeenix to ease a section of the game for you. All that out of the way, which job can solo the game from beginning to end? Well, being as literal as possible, you can't. Ramza begins the prologue as a squire, but Ramza Squire is different from all the other reindeer. Better stat growth, more abilities, and able to equip better gear from Chapter 2 onwards. It's not the same as generic squires, and for all intents and purposes is a separate job, just with a lot of overlap. But for the sake of a video, let's lump Ramza Squire in with generic squires, even when it digivolves into Gallant Knight. Now, the cool thing about Tactics is the random battles level with you, but the story battles are all set, and the bosses cap out at level 66. Hypothetically, you could grind Mandalia Plains to level 99 as soon as you get access to it in Chapter 1. Most of the game will be trivial regardless of what you're playing as, and you'll probably have a brain aneurysm during the grind. And this may surprise you, but you're not limited to just Squire abilities. Level Squire high enough and you unlock Knight and Archer. You get a few JP when you unlock them. You also start with Chemist unlocked by default along with some JP to start you off there. The important thing is you have access to abilities from Knight, Archer, and Chemist. But how if you're only going to be playing as Squire? Murder enemies and pray that RNGesus blesses you with crystals and abilities you don't have. Enemy units on death can either drop a chest or crystal. Get a crystal and you learn the abilities of the enemy you don't have. It is possible, however very improbable, to get all the abilities of Knight, Archer, and Chemist strictly by farming crystals. Chapter 2 being your best chance to start farming these crystals because that's when random battles start spawning more human enemies. So let's just assume some crazy person out there did the hundreds of hours of grinding random chance to get all the abilities to Chemist, Knight, Archer, and Squire. What do you have available? Well, a pretty good setup to be honest. Auto Potion keeps you topped off in the more difficult battles like against the Holy Knights. Equip Heavy Armor keeps you durable. And if you want to play ranged, you get Equip Crossbows. So what about choke points? Well, assuming you're playing on the most recent release, Evilus Chronicles does away with soft locks. If Wigriff is giving you trouble, you can always leave the castle and go grind. There's no point in the game where you are required to have mages, or specific summons, or specific job abilities, or anything similar to that. Goes without saying that if you cheat just a little and start the game with whatever job you want unlocked, a lot of the same applies. Outlevel your problems and grind crystals for any other jobs you have unlocked but aren't using. Like if you go Monk, you'd have access to Knight, you'd have access to Squire, you'll eventually get Geomancer by leveling, and you start with Chemist automatically. I think you get the idea. And that about does it. Again, as literal as possible, doing a solo job run from beginning to end would double as a Ramza-only run of the game if we're sticking to the boundaries Squeenix set for us. But if we broaden the definition of Squire just a teensy bit, we find yes, you can absolutely beat Final Fantasy Tactics with just Squires. There's no reason you can't, just be prepared to grind.